the behavior of the urban gray fox. And this all happened by accident, but nonetheless, 12 years later, I'm still doing it. Let's see what we can do here and see if we can get all this technology worked up. There we go. A little bit of orientation here. Urban versus, let me see if I got this starting over here. The environment impacts their behavior. The urban gray fox is more like the ones that are running around in your backyard not too far from here. And the wild gray, and those gray foxes, they understand living amongst people. And that's why we call them the urban gray fox. But the wild gray fox out there on the trail, if you're up there in the Santa Cruz Mountains and you're walking along a trail somewhere and there are gray foxes in your area, you will probably never see them. Because they come along, they know you're coming, they duck off into the brush, and they just sit there. About 10 feet into the brush, they'll sit there and wait until you go past. Then they'll come out and go about their business, and you never knew they were there. So, gray fox, red fox, tail colors are a good indicator. When you have a red fox in the area, just look at the tail. The tail is always white. White tail, red fox. Black tail, gray fox. And that's the way you distinguish them. People get them all mixed up because, as you can see on Rusty here, he's got red on his front portion. And so people see that and they say, oh, that's a red fox. No, that's a gray fox. Baby foxes are sometimes called kits, cubs, or pups. I call them pups because this is a canine, not a kit, not a kitten. And so they're what we call crepuscular. Crepuscular means that they have daylight hours as well as nocturnal. They hunt, 78% of the time, they hunt at night. That's when their food supply is running around. But in the morning, like this morning when I was out collecting the SD cards, the foxes were out on the channel where I have my trail cameras. And so they have morning hours in daylight and evening hours in daylight before they go hunting. Monogamous, not always the case. If the population density is correct, the gray foxes pair up for life. But if there's too much of a crowding, too many foxes in one area, sometimes that leads to a divorce. And I have actually seen and documented a divorce in the gray fox family. So the cultural reputation, the Pitt River Blackfoot tribes, they all considered the fox to be a god. Foxes are held in high esteem all over the world. Anyway, I don't know if anybody here has ever read any of Aesop's fables. But Aesop, 2,500 some odd years ago, actually set into motion our present attitude toward foxes. Being sly, right? Being smart. So in the crow and the fox, it goes like this. One day, fox was coming through the forest and he was so hungry he hadn't eaten for a long, long time. And so fox sees crow coming and flying along, big chunk of meat in his and Crow is going to find a place to go eat this chunk of meat. He lands in a tree above where Fox is standing down below. And Fox looks up, says, "Crow, you have the most beautiful, beautiful, beautiful voice in the whole wild wilderness. Would you please, please sing for me? I must hear you before I die." He goes on and on and on, Fox does, telling Crow how beautiful his voice is. Old Crow up there in the tree is getting to his head. And he says, maybe this old fox really does want to hear me. And he opens his beak, the meat falls to the ground, Fox runs over to it, picks it up, looks up, and says, "Beware of those who would flatter you." And that's the moral of the story. Aesop's fables always have that characteristic ending to them, a moral. They're teaching stories. Let's see if we can go on here. Whoops. Here we go. You see the fox down here? Gray foxes are the oldest canine in the world. You can see that going up the ladder here are the gray wolf is younger. All of these canids are younger than the gray fox. The gray fox, genetically speaking, is 10 million years old. No other canine is that old. This canine here cannot interbreed with any other canine in the world. So, 10 million years old, that's been genetically proven. If you see a live gray fox, genetically speaking, you're looking at a fox that is 10 million years old, genetically. And that's the only fox that I know, the only canine that I know that is like that. So, their range, you can see the range right there. They are not endangered, none of that. Let's go on. Submissive happiness, some of their behaviors. Okay? When their tail swishing, that tail goes whoosh, whoosh, back and forth, low to the ground, and that slithering body with eyes, ears back, flat upon their head. And they make low, squeaking little sounds. We'll hear one at the end, okay? And anyway, the point is this. That means that that fox is happy to meet up with that other fox. That other fox happens to be the alpha male of the region. And so the submissive fox is paying its respects to the alpha. And the fox kiss, touching in the noses, most canines do that. But these gray foxes do it for a reason, and that reason is to communicate respect. And then here we have, let me see if I could get this going. Oh no. It was going? I can't seem to get it to go. Well, anyway, the alpha male dark and his pup Midget. Midget comes rushing in off to the side, and Dad, that's his father, gets all cuddly and works with him, and little old midget is just bouncing with happiness to see his dad. Oops.
It listens for the tiny sounds.
It doesn't want to back up. There we go. Anyway, I see that some of the video is going to work, so let's just proceed on, okay? Time is of the essence. And the essential grooming there, that too is a video, but let's see if it, yeah. And the ear cleaning, mom is ear cleaning one of her pups. And that's essential because they use their ears much, much more than their eyes or their sense of smell. Their sense of sight is, if we stack it up, 1, 2, and 3, is number 3. Ours, you and me, we navigate through our world by our eyes. They don't. They navigate through their world with their hearing, whoops. Yeah. No, that's okay. Yeah, okay.
It listens
Listen
for the
very
tiny
carefully.
sounds of its prey moving about below, but must take great care not to scare them away.
This is the way they hunt. Look at that head, the way it's moving. That is the way they hunt 99% of the time. And they're not always successful. They sometimes do that dive, and they, in the end, they miss. Okay? So the ear is what I mentioned earlier is essential. That's the way they find their food, their prey. And so, yeah. The annual cycle, pairing up, both when they are pairing up, they're less than 1 year old. But at less than 1 year old, they act like you guys, teenagers. They're out to find a mate is what they're out to do. Once they leave home, they disperse. They go find themselves a mate. They go find themselves some territory. And they settle down, usually for life. And they have their babies. And so this is an example of the tenderness, and that's cute, the female. That's dark, her mate. And that's some intimate times with each other. So, yeah, let's go. April to September. Oh, don't go with the video yet. Can we turn it off? I have to make some comments before we get deep into this. Okay. Okay, Mama Bold in labor. In this scene here, you're going to see Mama Bold. I term these foxes by, I give them a name, okay? Like Jane Goodall did to her chimps. I name them, I don't give them scientific labels, because I learned very early on that they have personalities. And I used to call them foxinalities, but I changed that too because people got mixed up. Mama Bold in labor, I knew where I knew where the den was. I knew where the path that she was going to take when she was going to have those pups, and I set the camera up. Now you will see her in labor here. And then, once the pups are born, they don't stay in one location. They move the pups to a new location once they're able to get around. And they might move the pups 7, 8, 9 times in the course of 9 months. So let's see Mama Bold and see this whole thing play itself out. Mm-hmm. Can we turn the second one off? And turn the first one on. Okay. Yeah. All right. Anyway, on the moving night, Mama Bold did all this. Her mate Gray, he wasn't around. I don't know where he was. Probably out hunting though, because he knew that she was going to have those pups pretty soon. And so, can you hear her? She's moaning a little bit. And the next slide after that, next file, she was running to the den. And so now she's taking them off to the new den where she is moving them to. And she picks them up by the back of their neck and carries them away. She does this for a whole day, moving 5 little pups. And it was rainy that night. And you can see in the bottom one here some of the pups after they've grown up a little bit. And one of the things that they do is they cache their food. If they have too much food, they will bury it and go devour, eat it later. Let's go to the next one. Yeah. Okay. Surprised pups. Let's see what that's all about. Sometimes these pups. Oh. A little skunk. Whoa! Hold on. This may be the first time they've ever seen a skunk. Mm-hmm. Look at how curious they are. They're really curious. They have a curiosity factor that I'd call 10. Okay. We're going to have to move awfully quickly. This is Mama. Let's move on instead of seeing the whole clip. Change. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, I want to really get into this one here. These are the only foxes the only canines that can climb trees, and they climb straight up. This one on this slide here, I was going back into a wooded area, and 3 foxes were following me. And one of them, this one here, is cute again. When we came into the clearing where my trail camera was, she bolted into the brush, and I thought to myself, okay, well, she's off to get something probably. And so I'm over at my trail camera, and I'm taking care of swapping out the SD cards, and I look up, and there she is up in the tree. I knew immediately what she was doing. She was hunting. And she's up in that tree after a squirrel. Now, I'm going to skip the video part of this because we're running out of time. And, she, in the end, cute misses and falls into the thicket below. It's a blackberry thicket. And I never saw her again that day. But she missed that. And this high-speed climbing school, there's some of the foxes. And I wanted to tell a story about this little gray fox here, but we're going to skip that story as well. It's just, they establish a hierarchy. They have a hierarchy, okay, of from alpha to omega, and it's all based on food. Who gets the most food when at a young age? Who's the strongest? Who gets to be the alpha pup? And so this one here is where they are fighting over food. Mama goes away and leaves them just to fight. In the end, once they're grown up, they know their place. And Tense is in a disagreement here. They sometimes have disagreements and they fight with one another. Okay, let's go forth. Okay, yeah. And the story of Pale and Blackie. Pale, out there at the Baylands, there's not enough room. Pale dispersed. She's a young female. She dispersed and then came back home. I think I saw my son do that. And so one of the things that happens then is that if they don't disperse, Mama and Papa both will force them out. And so when Pale wound up meeting Blackie, they got along. She said, yeah, this is my guy, okay? And so in the end, what happened was that Gray chased Blackie out of the territory. She followed, and they established their own territory about 400 yards from where she was born. And so we're going to end with the dispersal, and I want to read this to you. It's an epilogue by Squat. Squat was the first gray fox to teach me a lot, okay? But science has clearly shown that we gray foxes and other animals that inhabit the night are not just hardwired critters running through the thickets on what you humans call instinct. We are sentient beings, thinking, feeling, conscious. We anticipate the future. We think similar to you. We show affection for one another. We are sometimes jealous because one pup has more attention given. There are times when we are happy, while at other times we mourn our loss. Because we are in such close proximity with you, we lose our food supply and our homes because many of your fellow human beings fail to understand our needs and our lives. Instead of destroying our habitats, our corridors, our ancient natal dens, please help to preserve these regions and treat us with respect. In turn, we will be a boon to the ecosystem as we work to keep it healthy for both humans and wildlife alike. Respectfully, Squat the Elder. And so that ends the talk. I'm sorry.